Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another podcast with an accent. I'm your host, Vadim Guliuk, and today I have Geoff Woliner with us, who's the CEO, founder of Winning Wit company. Geoff, welcome to the show.
Good to be here, my man. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Let's kick it off. What's your accent, Geoff?
My accent is South Queens. So depending on what kind of mood I'm in, it can regress a little bit like this, like some of the guys back in the neighborhood, the working class types, but if it's St. Patrick's Day and I've had a couple of pints, I become Sean from Limerick, and that can be a thing as well. But today I'll just be me. I come from a very boisterous, very proud, very intense upbringing, family, experience, all of it. And like most people who come from that background, at some point, in order to not go crazy, they have to channel it into stand-up comedy. So I've been doing that for 20 years. But because stand-up comedy is not the greatest way to pay bills, and frankly, most people make more working at Burger King than they do as a stand-up comedian, what I decided to do was actually work in the real world. So I recruited field teams, and I was in sales, and I did association development, and I did a lot of different things. But the whole time, I never gave up on comedy. So about 8 years ago, I finally decided, you know what? I woke up, I looked in the mirror, and I said, if I'm going to work for a lunatic, it might as well be that guy. And then my company was born, Winning Wit. And what is my accent? What is the purpose? What is the mission? Is to bring people's best moments to life, is to create your turning points. When you have a speech, when you have a presentation, when you have a big moment that can come to define you for years to come, I'm here to write that content for you and to coach you on how to deliver it like an absolute rock star.
Loving it. Geoff, what's your story?
So my story, that wasn't it? God, you want me to talk more? This guy's ridiculous. My story is, I was a shy kid growing up. Believe it or not. I was that kid who didn't want to say anything, head down, mouth shut, out of mind, out of sight. But then I found my voice as time went on. And the story was, how do I help others find their voice? By taking my own experiences, by taking things that I've gone through, things that I've overcome, challenges that I've scaled. And how do I see those same vulnerabilities in other people? And how do I take their hand and get them to the other side of the mountain? So that's really my story, is having gone through that experience and having gone through those trials and travails. How do I help other people conquer that anxiety? How do I help them conquer those self-doubts? How do I help them find their voice and become those just stone cold killers in their own right?
Amazing. What inspires you, Geoff?
What inspires me? That's a good question. I probably should have prepared for this beforehand. No, seriously, you know what inspires me? Sports figures. And not just people who are the best of the best, but people who accomplish even nominal things that they thought at one point in their life was absolutely impossible. I'll give you a great example. So I went to Michigan State. I'm a proud Spartan. Go green! And I truly believe that there's a lot to be learned from the Michigan State athletic program and the people who've come through it. So Michigan State started as a little college in the middle of nowhere in Michigan, helping farm kids get an education. And they were always in the shadow of these bigger, more prestigious, more dominant programs that surrounded them. Notre Dame football, Michigan football, Ohio State football, these iconic brands. But Michigan State, this little farm school in the middle of nowhere, decided, I'm not going to let these institutional disadvantages keep me down. I'm not going to be relegated to a second-class citizen. I'm not going to be just a school for farm kids. We're going to compete. We're going to overcome all those challenges. We're going to make this happen one way or the other. And for a period in the 50s and 60s, they won 6 national championships, which is more than anybody else in the country. And after 40 years in the wilderness, we found our Moses coach, came back, Mark D'Antonio, brought us back to an era of excellence. I look at that, and that really inspires me, because I feel if they can overcome that, if they can have everything working against them but still find a way all the way to the top, that's pretty awesome, and so can anybody else.
Amazing. Geoff, does your life in the present look like what you've envisioned it to be in the early 20s?
Not even remotely close, brother. When I was in my early 20s, I had a very vivid look at what my life was going to become. I was in Vegas for a big party with my brother and family and some other folks, and I'm walking down the strip from what I remember of that trip. And I see a sign at the Mirage for this performer named Danny Gans. Some of you folks may remember him who've been out to Vegas in those days. God rest his soul. He passed a few years back. But Danny Gans was a headliner at the Mirage. And I remember seeing that big sign on the strip, Danny Gans performing nightly. And I stopped, stared right at it, and I said, that's going to be me one day. I'm going to go to the plastic surgeon and say, turn me into Danny Gans. And if that doesn't work out, then maybe it'll actually just be me on that sign. And that was going to be my life. I was going to be a headliner in Vegas. That's how it was going to go. Needless to say, didn't exactly work out that way.
What advice, that being said, would you give your younger self?
So a couple things. The first would be to piggyback off of that, which would be to say, listen, man, you have your idea of how this is all going to turn out. Let me tell you, it's not. And you know what? That's okay. In fact, it's better that it didn't turn out that way. And the twists and turns and the things that are going to happen to you, they're really all going to be for the best. And they're not going to feel that way at the time. You're going to have a lot of heartbreak. You're going to have a lot of disappointment. You're going to have, there's going to be just abject misery along the way. But there's also going to be a lot of really great times too. You're going to meet some incredible people who at this point in your life, you can't imagine walking into your life, but they're going to. You're going to develop incredible friendships. You're going to find someone to spend your life with. You're going to find, and that's going to be the person who brings you the paper every morning until that's not a thing anymore. And then you get to find somebody else who just basically puts up with you all day. So the key to it is roll with the punches, go with the flow, every other cliche you want, but understand that there's going to be a journey that's going to go this way and up and down and left and right, and just kind of go with it as it happens. Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Make the best of it. If it goes this way, make it the best this way you possibly can, instead of standing back and complaining and pining that it didn't end up over here. The second piece of advice, if you see drama, run for the hills, my man. Run. And I'm talking like that sprint you get, when you see somebody down the street and you don't want to talk to, but you locked eyes like, oh, I got to get the hell out of here. That kind of run. Run. If people are bringing you down, if people are introducing dramatic situations into your life, if they're putting you down, if they're trying to drag you into difficult situations, get out of there as fast as you can. Life is too short. And on the other side of that, you've got great people who you want to spend time with, who are going to uplift you, who are going to put you in good situations, who are going to make you feel better about yourself, feel better about life. Because every moment you spend on drama is one moment you're depriving yourself of goodness.
Well said, my friend. Geoff, what's the best story from your life that has a valuable message?
So back when I was 18 years old, I was telling you, I was a shy kid, not much to say, and I probably did, but I didn't know how to say it. Well, I saw this competition happen at this comedy club in New York called Stand Up New York. And it was the summer of '99. And I figured, you know what? I'm going to enter this. Just see where it goes. Because what better way to actually get yourself to that other side of what you want to become from what you are than to just throw yourself right into the fire. I said, all right, man, baptism by fire. Here we go. I got up on that stage, and the most incredible thing happened. All the nerves, all the anxiety, all the insecurity, it melted away in the blink of an eye. It was just gone. As soon as I got on that stage, as soon as I grabbed that mic, baby, right here. As soon as I grabbed it, I went right to work. By the way, thank you for the mic. Outstanding. Love it. This guy gives the best gifts, by the way. He really does. If you need a gift, like this is your man right here. Grabbed the mic. I went to work, told some jokes. Some of them were not the most original in the world, but some of them were. Some of them were absolutely terrible. Some of them I definitely cannot repeat in mixed company. Love you, LinkedIn. But I got to be honest with you. That moment in my life, like truly, that was the moment that it all changed. That was the turning point of my life. I won the competition. I got a whole write-up in New York Newsday about me. And then I never looked back. I've been performing and rocking and rolling and networking and doing my thing ever since. Never looked back. 5 minutes changed my entire life. Because it was that moment, it was that 5 minutes that told me I can do this. Every piece of self-doubt that I had, everything that I used to tell myself to put myself down, everything others used to tell me to put me down, I realized that was all BS, all of it. That was all an illusion, like the Maya would say, that illusory state. It wasn't real. That 5 minutes was a wrecking ball to that entire illusion. I realized I can do it. People actually do want to listen to what I have to say sometimes. I can be funny. I can be engaging. I can be myself. I don't have to hide behind a wall. I don't have to hide behind a curtain. I don't have to pretend I'm not in the room. I could just be me. I could be naturally me and just do my thing. And I realized if I can make a room full of people laugh, man, you've spoken in front of people. It's a hard thing to do. It's a really hard thing to do. I mean, not for you, obviously. You're a natural. But for a lot of other people, it's very difficult. And I realized if I can overcome this, if I can actually make a room full of people laugh and I can get up there and be confident, what can't I do? And then it just opened my eyes. It opened my mind to all the different possibilities of life that to me were shut out before that. It opened every single door that I couldn't see beforehand.
Geoff, what's your favorite book and why?
So this will be a bit of a curveball, and I guarantee, you asked me if you're going to learn anything new today. I guarantee you wouldn't see this coming. So the great NBA basketball player has been retired for some years, Reggie Miller, my favorite all-time athlete. He's a guy, when I played high school basketball, I modeled my game after him. And he wrote a book in the mid-90s called I Love Being the Enemy. It's a great line. And I can think of some people today who would have a book with probably a similar title. But he wrote this book about the Indiana Pacers 1995 season. And the book was really about how he overcame his own struggles when he was growing up. Similar to me, very skinny kid. No one thought was ever going to be an athlete worth anything. Was always in his sister's shadow. His sister ended up being arguably the greatest female basketball player of all time in world history. That's how incredible she was. Scored 100 points in a high school game, multiple-time Olympic gold medalist. He's in the shadow. He writes this book about how he became a star in his own right and how he carved out a name for himself and how he had to also bury every insecurity that he had and people telling him he couldn't do it and he was too this and he was too that. And, why are you even bothering playing basketball, man? It's not for you. And now he goes on to end up becoming an NBA Hall of Famer, one of the 50 greatest players to ever play the game. And this whole book was really about that journey along the way, step by step by step, kind of with the background of the 95 season in the back. And if anybody here is an NBA fan, you remember that season, him jawing back and forth with Spike Lee, a lot of that in the book too. So highly recommend it. Reggie Miller, I Love Being the Enemy.
Geoff, what's your favorite quote?
My favorite quote probably has to come from the old philosopher from the turn of the century, of the 19th and the 20th century, a gentleman named Theodore Herzl, lived in Central Europe. And the quote was, "If you will it, it is no dream." And I think about that with my own business. And, when I first started it, a lot of people would say, "Are you nuts? Like, seriously, are you nuts?" People actually, who would pay somebody to write a wedding speech for them? Who would pay somebody to write a comedy roast? Man, who would pay somebody to write something for a divorce party, of all things? I mean, a eulogy. Who would pay for that kind of thing? I had people all across the lines tell me these things. You've been in some events and you met some of these people, and it just they couldn't understand. They thought it was a joke, but I willed it, and it was no dream, and it became a reality. So I think about that quote every single morning. It's what gets me out of bed. It's what drives me.
That's amazing. Geoff, we're almost at the end of the episode. Tell us, what turns you on?
Ooh, tough crowd. I got to get out of here for this one. It's not safe for work, right? Oh, okay. Well, honestly, the smell of really good barbecue. I am a barbecue fiend, a hound. I mean, you get a good kind of slow cooked pork shoulder. You get some brisket up there. You get some good Memphis style ribs. That's some good stuff. But what really turns me on is being able to make that for other people, cooking for other people, being hospitable, fixing a good cocktail for somebody, seeing them happy. You've been around, it's like that brings me joy.
And I can tell your cooking is delicious.
My man, I appreciate that. That brings me a lot of joy, man. That turns me on. Seeing my friends happy, knowing that I've helped to create a good experience in a world with so much adversity and so much stress. If I can bring people down off of that stressful mountain into the valley of happiness and good food and good drinks and good company, that turns me on, man. That's the good stuff.
The valley of happiness or a rooftop of happiness.
The rooftop. Yeah, the poolside of happiness, the balcony of happiness.
Happy places. Happy places.
All day.
Geoff, what's a good way for people to find you online?
Sure. So if anybody needs help writing or delivering their speech, you can always reach out to winningwit.com. That is winningwit.com. Or you can also reach out to me directly at Geoff@winningwit.com. That is GEOFF@winningwit.com. Or telemarketers would call me Greg or George or Goff. How many Goffs do you meet like on a daily basis? Aside from quarterbacks, like how many Goffs do you meet? Apparently they meet like 100 a day because to them, I'm Goff. So Anyway, Geoff at winningwit.com. Feel free to reach out. Love to give you a hand.
Perfect. Thank you for your time, Geoff. It was a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Appreciate you having me. Always a good time.
Perfect. And looking forward to seeing everybody in the next episode.
Absolutely. Take care, bud.